Greetings everyone. This is our special program on ETV language. In this edition, we'll be talking about a host of issues with Mr. Adam Boehler, who is the CEO of U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. Do stay with us. Mr. Adam Boehler, the CEO of U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, thanks indeed for being with us and welcome to Ethiopia.
Thanks so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, let me start off with this question. What are the major duties and responsibilities of U.S. International Development Finance Corporation? I think it's a kind of a new corporation, isn't it, sir?
It is new. And I was confirmed as the first CEO a month and a half ago. And what's really exciting about it is we have $60 billion to invest in emerging countries. And that's in equity, it's in debt, and it's in reinsurance. And our job is to bring private companies into places like Ethiopia to drive development. And so I have two objectives. One is to drive jobs, growth, and stability in the country. The other thing is that I believe, and the United States believes, that a strong, sovereign Ethiopia is very much in our interests. And so we want to partner together with the Prime Minister and the administration to ensure that you guys are strong, you're sovereign, and you're growing.
Now, what are the overall objectives of your visit here in Ethiopia? I think you and the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also met and discussed a host of issues covering, spanning a number of areas. So, sir, what are the salient points of discussions that you and Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed had?
Well, what we discussed is a real commitment to Ethiopia. And so under this new agency, we're prepared to make a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar investment in Ethiopia. So I think it was a very exciting time to discuss. And I'll tell you why we want to do that. We want to do that because we admire and support the Prime Minister's strategy and view and vision for Ethiopia. I think it's really exciting. I mean, how often do you see a leader that not only inspires hope among their people, but drives to action? It's unusual. And my job representing the United States is to make sure America is behind you and the administration to kind of see that vision through.
Maybe I think you also met with other high-ranking government officials.
Yes.
Would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, we met with the Minister of Finance. We met with the President. We met with the Minister of Agriculture. We met with the Governor of the Central Bank. And the message was consistent. And what we discussed, and what I love about your Prime Minister, is he doesn't want to wait. Right? It would be easy for him to take it slow. That's the easy answer. But the right answer was to take action, and that's what I admire about him. And I'm like that too. And so is the United States. And so the message was, how do we move quickly? How do we announce, which we're going to do in the next few months, a multi-billion-dollar commitment? And then how do we make sure that that capital comes from private money into Ethiopia and creates jobs? And so what's really enabled this is a phenomenal country. I mean, I've wanted to be here. This is my first visit. And one thing I do in every place I visit is I take a run, the first thing I do. And the reason I take a run and I run outside is you get a feel for the country. And it was bustling. I mean, you can see Ethiopian people that are out there, they're working, they're bustling. So that I felt right away. The other thing I'll tell you is just walking around my hotel, the art scene and the culture scene here, unbelievable. And so from my perspective, immediately you see why Ethiopia is such a great country. And so we're very excited about it.
And did you reach any agreements, may I ask?
Well, what we agreed in principle is that this is going to be a clear investment area for the United States and a multi-billion-dollar commitment. So our plan is over the next 30 to 60 days to start drawing up agreements, and I want to come back out here. And I'm going to announce what we agreed to from an investment perspective. So you'll see us. The other thing I'll say is we've already done investment deals here. We're backing a Marriott hotel project here. And we had a lot of discussion about energy and infrastructure. And I think you'll see some announcements there in the near term.
Now, Ethiopia is currently undergoing major economic reforms, which include full or partial privatization of giant state-owned firms such as Ethio Telecom and Ethiopian Airlines. What is your take on that? And what is your support going to be like?
I think it's important that we support the administration here. And so we believe in the vision that the Prime Minister and the administration have laid out. I think you'll see our continued support of their vision and your vision.
You know, the country has also been favoring these homegrown economic reforms. I think you're familiar with this.
Yes.
Do you think that this is the right decision?
I think it's important to back foreign firms, but I think it's important to back Ethiopians. And so our message is going to be, we're very happy to have United States companies come and partner, but we're very happy to back Ethiopian companies. I think it's got to be a partnership, and so you'll see us backing Ethiopians within their country as well.
What is the investment climate in Ethiopia like in your view, and do you take Ethiopia as a favorable investment destination?
You know what's great about Ethiopia? So what are the things that I look for, and what are the things that private investors look for? They look for a strong and stable government and administration. You have that now. They look for a focus on free market principles. You have that. And you've got a phenomenal growth rate. I mean, what other country is growing and developing at the rate that Ethiopia is developing? So part of my job is to make sure that private investors know this. Because if people are not familiar with Ethiopia, my job is to say, listen, this is a really attractive investment destination. We offer reinsurance and products to get people comfortable with investment in Ethiopia.
Maybe let me ask you this question. Are there any specific areas of investment that you want to prioritize for now, maybe, such as ICT, manufacturing, and the likes?
Well, a lot of our conversations today was, where does Ethiopia want to prioritize? Because I want to listen. And what we heard was energy. So we're thinking about different sources of power, whether they're geothermal, hydroelectric, renewable energy. So that came out clear. Healthcare, I think that's been a critical area to focus on. And then infrastructure. So that's what I heard. And my job really is to listen and to back Ethiopia up where you need the investment.
So are you going to go operational soon, maybe in some areas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you will see. I mean, again, my marching orders right now is I'm going to work very closely with the administration, identify these specific projects, and we're coming back and we're going to make announcements.
Okay. What advantage or benefits, sir, do you think this will have for Ethiopians up and coming investors or other business ventures?
Jobs. I mean, I'm going to tell you that my top priority, and I know the administration's top priority, is jobs. You have a phenomenal workforce and a phenomenal human capital resource. We got to provide jobs for you. And I think if you look at Ethiopia's plan for 2025 to say we're going to move to middle income. Yeah. The only way we're going to do that is by creating jobs and security for the average person in Ethiopia. And so there's big idea projects, that's fine. At the end of the day, we're going to measure our success in employment and the per capita income of people in Ethiopia. So that's what I'm focused on, and I know that's what your administration's focused on.
Yeah. And what is your advice to Ethiopia to help the nation press ahead with its economic reforms that the country has already embarked upon? And how are you going to shore up these efforts?
You know what I'm really impressed with is it's amazing to see an administration and prime minister that think about Ethiopia as a collective and that are representing all the people. And I think that's inspiring. And when I'm on the street, when I took my run and I spoke to Ethiopians, and I said, what do you think about this administration? They said, this is an administration that represents all Ethiopians. And I think that's inspiring, and I hope that continues.
So are you planning to get maybe some investors, American investors, to engage in Ethiopia?
When we come back, I'm going to bring American companies because I want them to see for their own eyes what I see here.
All right. And do you have special plans to support the African Union, especially to create a robust ICT infrastructure or investment landscape, etc.?
So one thing we signed 2 days ago we signed a big MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the African Development Bank. And that represents a partnership with African Development Bank to drive multilateral growth in the region. And so you will see us supporting AU through ADB and direct through private businesses.
Do you have also plans to, scale up efforts that you're doing here in Ethiopia to other African countries?
Yes, and well, let me note one thing that's really important to us about what you're doing in Ethiopia. I think you're going to serve as a fantastic model for other African countries. Because, people say some of the reforms that you've driven so quickly, common feedback would be that can't be done. But you're proving them wrong.
Well, Mr. Adam Boehler, the CEO of U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, thanks indeed for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. I really like Ethiopia, so thank you very much.
Well, dear viewers, that was Adam Boehler, the CEO of U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, talking to us. Thanks indeed for being with us. And till I see you with another program, it's goodbye from me, Shafar Alaikum. Bye-bye.